Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books. Well, Walter Hamada is out of Warner Brothers and DC. He was the president of DC Films. He was with the company for 15 years. He served as president of DC Films for 4 years and was due to continue his contract until 2023. But he's not continuing his contract until 2023. He's officially out. This isn't really that shocking to me because we just covered it yesterday. And actually, I put a little note, plus Hamada's out, because this was massive DC movie update. That was the big news of the video. And Hollywood Reporter had it in the article, and they mentioned that Hamada was leaving. And I know he's a big deal, and he's been, head of DC for a while, but they've been talking about this for months. And he obviously has a completely different vision for what he wanted DC films to be. And he was entertaining, very disappointed Batgirl was canceled. Whatever it was he was exactly planning to do, it wasn't good. And it wasn't going to make money. So Zaslav said, come on, get out of here, you. So he did leave, under conditions that were even a little unusual. It's one thing to leave before your contract finishes, but it's another to leave without a producing deal, because they'll give people that are really hooked up get taken care of, man. I got to tell you. They give producing deals, which can even include offices on the lot, so you have no overhead operating as a producer. They give you budgets to work with. They agree to fund certain development for you at their own expense. It's truly quite amazing. I mean, you really give rich deals, but he didn't get one of those deals. Basically, he got the door. So he's out. And the thing is, there's no need to humiliate him or denigrate Walter Hamada in any way. It's just that there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of messaging that needs to happen in the company. So it's what you say, it's what you do, and then people are like, oh, this is what's going on at the company. This is what the bosses are looking for. It's well, yeah, that needs to actually go out. So it's very important not to not give him a producing deal necessarily. And who knows? They're going to negotiate. Maybe they do wind up giving him some kind of a, extra payout of some kind. So it's not to embarrass him. He'll do fine. He'll find another position somewhere else. He's very well connected. But people need to know that his vision for the studio is not what current management is looking for. All right, so let's do this. Let's get into the article. Before we get into the article in Deadline, please do be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give it a thumbs up when you like it. You guys have been so great. You've shared it on social media. Everybody helps. I really appreciate you guys, and it's helping me do more and more of these videos. My next goal is, we get to 2,000 subs, and then we do something really special. So we're going to get there. Okay, here's the headline coming at you from Deadline. DC Films boss Walter Hamada has departed studio as Warner Brothers Discovery finalizes exit. The dish. Okay, so that's the inside info, right? They're going to tell you what Hollywood Reporter didn't tell us yesterday. After 15 years at Warner Brothers and 4 as the president of DC Films, Walter Hamada has finally left the Burbank, California lot. Sources tell Deadline the executive is waiting for the senior Warner Brothers Discovery brass to finalize his exit payout. Isn't that nice? Look how happy he looks. He's going to get a payout. They're not going to give him a producing deal, I don't think, come to think of it, because they don't want what he's going to make. They would not want. Hamada has run DC since 2018 and re-upped in January 2021, not that long ago, with a contract that was supposed to take him through 2023. All of this occurs as New Line's DC movie Black Adam, New Line, obviously a division of Warner Brothers Discovery, on which Hamada is an executive producer, and it's tracking to open to a projected $135 million at the global box office this weekend, despite some harsh reviews. Though those reviews are from the kind of critics that, will find fault with things that are not what they want Marvel movies to be, let's put it that way. And DC is not doing that anymore. The writing has been on the wall for Hamada's DC exit for quite some time. And sources said he's packed up his office and hasn't been part of recent creative meetings. It's just listen, I'm out of here, okay? I mean, why should he waste time at creative meetings? Kind of nonsensical and embarrassing. Hamada will be the 5th Warner Brothers motion picture studio executive to leave since David Zaslav took the reins of the newly merged Warner Brothers Discovery, following Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group Chairman Toby Emmerich, President of Production and Development Courtney Valente, Motion Picture Group COO Carolyn Blackwood, and Animation Group Executive Vice President Allison Abadi. We hear Hamada knew his days were numbered, and that this would be the outcome even before he met Zaslav, who's been transparent in his desire to bring in an exec like Marvel Kevin Feige to run DC across all mediums. See, I always say this, so these decisions that they make, the announcements like, oh, we're looking for a Feige, sure, but it's also to message to Walter and all of Walter's little buddies and acolytes in DC, also all of the people that Walter was trying to put projects together with. You know, you have a producer trying to get things funded, approved, making deals. Producers are seeking out relationships with talent all the time. But now when they know that Hamada's probably on the way out because Zaslav is going in another direction, and they know he's going in another direction, again, they haven't found their, quote, Kevin Feige at Warner Brothers Discovery. But all Zaslav had to do was say, oh, I'm looking for this person. We're going to look for this. Then all the messaging is out to Hamada, Hamada's people, and all the people that he has relationships with that were putting things together. So now they know their projects are dead, which basically crushes whatever momentum and energy that Hamada had going for him, all by just making an announcement. Messaging is very important. Zaslav recently quoted former Warner Development exec and Lego movie producer Dan Lin for the post, and former Fox chief Emma Watts has long loomed as a possible head. Yeah, a lot of people suggest Emma Watts often to me in comments. Hamada is not Feige. The low-key executive is said not to be a gifted talent schmoozer, for instance. You gotta be a schmoozer in the entertainment business, come on. But this is not to discount his efforts since moving over from New Line. Among his accomplishments were creating crossovers between DC films and the HBO Max streaming service. That's an accomplishment. That resulted in a series of spin-offs of James Gunn's Suicide Squad, The Peacemaker, one of the over-the-top services, most watched services. Okay, series. Over-the-top, OTT, means direct-to-consumer streaming. That's what it means, because it's not part of a cable distribution. And the Viola Davis Amanda Waller series, as well as the Matt Reeves-produced Colin Farrell Penguin series that was born from the directors The Batman. Well, we'll see how that does. Hopefully it does great. Hamada shepherded that Robert Pattinson movie during a COVID shoot, and the reboot grossed $771 million worldwide. That's not bad. That was a solid first outing for Reeves and Pattinson, and also became a highly watched movie on HBO Max after its 45-day theatrical run. Kind of crazy that the Joker actually did better than Batman, with Joker breaking $1 billion. It's amazing. A sequel is in the works. Hamada also was an executive producer and had his hands on 2 of the DC's highest grossing movies, James Wan's Aquaman at $1.1 billion, which was a huge success, and Todd Phillips' Joker, which is also a huge success, which won 2 Oscars and became the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time at $1.07 billion. Because when you make something that, like Joker it was a good movie. It was a kind of movie people would go and see several times. Did a couple of videos about it, and a couple of people were like, yes, I've seen it 12 times. Like, 12's too many times. But if you make a movie and people are willing to go see it more than once with their friends because they really like the experience being in the theater, that's going to be a movie that's going to make a lot of money. Despite this, Zaslav had his mind made up and said as much in earnings calls. He wants his Feige, and who wouldn't? See, I have to mention it again. Just by mentioning it in the earnings calls, like we want a Kevin Feige to really run everything. Walter Hamada knows he's not that. Everyone knows he's not that. And Walter Hamada is like much more of a diminished figure for Zaslav to then have to deal with politically getting rid of him. There's brilliant things going on in the management of Warner Brothers Discovery, I got to tell you. Feige is among the most successful at building billion-dollar film franchises Hollywood has seen in decades. Wait till you see how the new movies do from Feige. Unless you clone him. There is no one else like him. Well, I've said this before. What Feige does, he obviously didn't do on his own. And he followed all the comics very closely. And they just had a plan. You could do it with 3 people. And then any one of them could disappear and you could replace one of those 3. It's a process thing. It's not a person thing. Many feel Zaslav already has perhaps the closest thing in Michael DeLuca, who, with Warner Brothers Motion Pictures co-chief Pam Abity, are overseeing DC until Zaslav makes a permanent hire, which maybe he never will. The genre-smart DeLuca recently set up a new Constantine film with Keanu Reeves and director Francis Lawrence, for instance, but Zaslav wants something else, and DeLuca and Abity are plenty busy overhauling Warner Brothers. Hamada was offered, but it turned down a producing deal. Okay, didn't want it. He was ready to bolt after Warner Bros. Discovery killed Batgirl in post-production as part of a pivot from the latest regime's plan to make moderately budgeted films for HBO Max. Zaslav is instead focused on big theatrical swings that find their way to the streamer after primo theatrical runs. Now, the other issue is they want big budget movies invested into their major brands so they can sell them not just on the streaming service, but through multiple platforms and multiple windows. So Netflix does a movie, they may spend $100 or $200 million on it, they just dump it on Netflix. Warner Bros. Discovery does a movie, it's going to be in movie theaters. It's going to be on their streaming service, but it'll be on their cable channels. It'll be on free-to-air channels like Pluto. Those are other over-the-top services. They'll be licensed out in different countries, in different platforms, at different times. Eventually, they'll get licensed out for broadcast TV, regular TV channels. Not even, so they have a great strategy. Obviously, I'm a really big fan of the strategy of Warner Bros. Discovery of just make less content, make great content, and distribute it literally everywhere. After the Batgirl debacle, DeLuca and Abity persuaded Hamada to stay and see through Black Adam, which opens Friday. Hamada should not have a difficult time moving on to another position as a producer or executive, if he even wants to work, right? I'm sure he's going to have enough money to stop working if he wants to. Beyond steadying a dysfunctional DC ship, when he came back in 2018, he had a good run before that at New Line. There, he presided over a string of genre hits that included The Conjuring, Friday the 13th, The Final Destination, a resuscitation of A Nightmare on Elm Street. I always loved that original. And the first installment of Stephen King's It that grossed more than $700 million on a $35 million budget. Well, that is a good financial success, no question about it. Beyond Black Adam, DC's 2023 slate has Shazam, Fury of the Gods on March 17th, The Flash on June 23rd, Blue Beetle on August 18th, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom on Christmas Day. There's also Phillips' sequel to Joker, Folie à Deux, with Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga planned for a December start and an October 4th, 2024 release. And tough guy The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has challenged Henry Cavill to put on his Superman tights and square off against his Black Adam in a crossover film. No word on whether or not that's going to happen. This should keep things warm while Zaslav continues to find his Feige, if he's ever even looking for him. I know a lot of people didn't like Walter Hamada at DC. Interested to see what your thoughts are on him in the comments below. I also learn a lot from your guys' comments, as you guys really come up with some really cool little specific information that I had no idea about. So, there's a limit to what I know. I just read the articles and do a little research is all I do over here. This is an interesting article, too. It obviously is related. In Deadline, global box office needs a hero. Black Adam raging to 135 million worldwide opening. So basically the rundown is this. When they say 135 million worldwide opening, they are talking about worldwide. They're not talking about just the U.S. So in the U.S., it was being estimated to be 65 to 70 million, maybe 75 million. Now the forecast is at like 60 million, but who knows? Hopefully he does great because Warner Bros. Discovery definitely could use a hit. Rotten Tomatoes has a lot of terrible reviews of it, and basically they're saying it's repetitive, and the critics don't like it. But often critics don't like action films. As far as The Rock is concerned, another quick follow-up article, Dwayne Johnson says he's very confident about the direction of the DC Universe. He'd like to see a lot more things happening with DC Universe. He'd like to play in DC Universe for a long time. He supposedly has been working on getting Black Adam to get done for 15 years. Movies take a long time to get done, sometimes 10 years, sometimes less, but 15 years is on the long side. So he's been dedicated to it. He's got passion for it. Again, hopefully the film does really well and he can contribute more to it. At least, his positivity and his energy is something that DC can definitely benefit from. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up when you like it. And I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.